Hi, Deb here and welcome to my craft room. Today I would like to use this Let's Resin snail mould. I thought I'd have a go at making a glow-in-the-dark snail. I got these glow-in-the-dark pebbles from Temu, is that what it's called? Temu, and I wanted to put them in the snail. So I'm using Let's Resin epoxy resin. I mixed, all in all, I mixed 120 mils, but that was far too much with all the stones in. So I think I'm weighing out 30 there. No, I'm not. Yeah, 30. And this is the next 30. I think it's 30. I'm really not sure now. I've been to bed since I did this. I can't remember. So I give it a really good stir for quite a long time. Slowly, so as not to create too many bubbles. And then I'm just about to add, without remembering, to squirt the mould with isopropyl alcohol, and then to mix in the Teal Pinata alcohol ink, which I felt went very well with the stones and also with the Teal Chameleon powder that I'm going to use in a little while. I went through all of my alcohol inks and resin colorants, and that's the only one I could find that was really matched well with the stones. And that is some fine, I don't know what it's called. It's glitter. It's just really pretty, fine, whitish glitter. Really sparkly. Lots of different colours in it. Just poured in a small amount to go around the shell part of the snail, really so that the mould had resin in it, so the stones didn't stick through the resin. And there's the stones, very, very pretty. I'm just going to pour a load into the shell part of the snail. And pour in the resin. I got a bit carried away with pouring the resin because I need to add some more stones to it, and that will then make the resin overflow. Unfortunately, I'm squidging here to get as many air bubbles out as possible to get the stones all moved so that the air bubbles will come out. And now I've got a stirring stick and I'm just stirring it around to try and agitate the stones so that any air that's down there is going to get released. And then I realised I need to add a load more stones. So that is going to push the resin over the top where I don't want it. You can see it happening, can't you? So I now have to scoop a load of resin out of where I don't want it. Excuse my head and my messy hair. Don't look at the grey bits. Here I am scooping out the excess resin that I didn't want to use. Well, I shouldn't have used. Far too much I put in there for what I needed. And I'm scraping it out of the head bit now, right by where the antenna are. Grey hair's in the way again. It's awful watching your hair and realising how grey it is. That's just wiping out around where the antenna are. I'm wiping it out with a cloth because I want to put chameleon powders in and it won't go over the resin bits properly. Here I am, I've sped this up. I'm just filling up a few spare moulds that I had sitting close by. These two are for my wax seals. I had 2 wax seals without handles, so I thought I'd do 2 more handles with this spare resin. I'm getting the bubbles out. Like I say, this is all sped up. And now this shell is dry. Everything that I put in there is now dry, cured, and so I'm dusting it with the Let's Resin chameleon powder, the teal one, because it's the one that went the best with the shells, really, the stones, really. When you're using chameleon powders, make sure you put a really good coat on, because you can often see a bit of daylight between them if you haven't coated it all smoothly and properly. And I have to be honest, where I've done this bit, it's quite hard to get in there with the chameleon powder, and when I demould it, I noticed that I scraped some of the chameleon powder off when I was pulling the brush in and out. So do be careful if you're doing awkward bits like that. Make sure that you do get all of the chameleon powder in, and make sure you don't scrape any off. I know it's really hard when you've got a tricky angle like that. do love that colour. That chameleon powder is beautiful. All of the chameleon powders, the Let's Resin chameleon powders, are beautiful. Right, and I've now mixed up some more resin. No, sorry, I haven't. Now I'm putting the stones back in, and I'm trying to get them just into the shell. And I'm trying really hard to place them so they are just in the shell. It took me ages to get them placed. In fact, I got very, very frustrated. And then in the end, I realised I didn't have to just get them in the shell, because I'd put the chameleon powder around the foot of the snail. You would hardly be able to see the stones anyway. So in a minute, you'll see me just putting them in, because why not? I'm trying so hard there. Head again, sorry. I don't know how I thought they were all going to stay in when I put the resin on them anyway, but never mind. I'd obviously noticed a bit of chameleon powder that had come off with the stones. Sorry, I'm out of shot. I was trying to see what I was doing up close. And I think I've now decided, let's just chuck them all in. You're not going to see them anyway because of the chameleon powder. Sometimes it's easy with hindsight. Just checking that it's level there. And now I've mixed up my resin, and I've had Teal Pinata alcohol ink again, the same as I did in the bottom part of it. Just mixing it all up. Making sure it's thoroughly mixed, because you don't want patches in it. Mind you, like I say, you wouldn't notice because this has all got chameleon powder around the outside of it. And I know people say that when you use chameleon powder, you should, you know, it shows up better with a black background. But I have to say, it shows up beautifully, even with this very pale blue background. Here I am, just topping up the shell, the snail, with the rest of the resin. Once again, I have made too much. I did get a lot of bubbles come up in this, but very few actually show in the piece. I think I did squirt it with isopropyl alcohol, and there are very few bubbles that show in the piece. I'm just putting my pokey tool down to try and release any bubbles that are down in the stones. Make sure the stones are all level enough. Topping it up. And then I will spray it once again with alcohol, just to make sure that none of the bubbles that are now coming up stay there on the surface. There's my head just leaning over to check that it's all filled properly and I can't see any problems. And here's the isopropyl alcohol. Now I've just got another mould out. This is a little phone stand that I got from Temu. Just really using up the leftover resin, that's all. Can't bear to waste resin. And then I think I also do a few crystal moulds as well. This is sped up, as you can probably tell. Sorry, out of shot again. I'm just squeezing it to make sure there's no bubbles in it. Right, squeezing it all with isopropyl alcohol, and here they are, all cured. It's the next day, and I'm demoulding them all. This is still quite bendy, if you can tell, but it goes together really nicely, and it is at the present moment holding my phone, so it's worked out nicely. I'm pleased with that. And here are all the little crystals and things that I've done. Just demoulding all of it. That's come out really nicely. I'm pleased with that. It's a nice little mould. These ones I wasn't pleased with because the moulds are dull and I find them quite annoying because they're dull. I think I might just throw them away. And this mould is dull, but where it's a bigger crystal, it doesn't annoy me quite so much, I don't think. I have recently purchased some crystals, some proper crystals, and I am going to have a go at making some moulds in a week or two. I've got a Sophie and Toffee box to do next week. And then I think I'm going to have a go at making some moulds out of my new crystals and see how they turn out. This has come out really, really nice. The handle, one of the handles off the wax seals. Really pleased with these moulds. not easy to demould. And before you say it, yes, I know I can spray isopropyl alcohol in, but it's not until I've done it and I'm watching it that I remember that I could do that. But the mould's fine and the pieces come out fine. And last but not least is the little dog paw, or the little paw, which is also another handle for the wax seals. I think that's really cute. I really like that. Really cute. Oops, I just knocked everything over. Right, now we have to do the snail, which is really, really hard to demould. Really hard. Doesn't help that that I've done quite a big over pour either, but I found it so difficult to demould this because there's nothing you can grab hold of to get a start on it, and the head and the antenna are stuck down there, and the shell's so big you just can't get a start on it. But it's worth the work because I love it. It is beautiful. Pull, Deb, pull. Oh dear, you need muscles. It's coming, it's coming. There it is. Now just get the head and the antenna out. That's easier said than done, definitely. And actually, you'll see in a minute, but one of the antenna gets left in there. And I've got the feeling that was where I put the chameleon powder on, because it's actually, the antenna went into, or the resin went into the antenna part when it overflowed from when I put the stones in. So when I then put the chameleon powder on, I made I put a barrier between the two different resins, and I'm sure that is what has caused this antenna to get stuck in the mould and not to come out with it. I think the other antenna, the barrier was further down. I think there wasn't as much resin in that one when I put the chameleon powder in it, because that's broken clean where the chameleon powder met the antenna. But it's easily fixed. It's not a problem. I am so pleased with that. I love it. I absolutely love it. Now I'm going to get my clippers to tidy up the overflow. It's always easier to get it off when you first demould because it's still soft, so it comes off much, much easier. I know it looks all lumpy and bumpy on the bottom, but it stands very nicely. I'm not at all worried about it. It stands nicely. So here's the UV resin I use, JDiction UV Resin, and I'm just going to use that to attach the antenna that came off. A little paintbrush, I believe I used. Yes, a little paintbrush. And obviously my UV light torch. trying to make sure I've got it the right way round. Whoops, dropped it. There, it's attached. Just leave it on there for a bit longer. With the light on there a bit longer, so it really does cure properly. And here's the UV light shining on the stones in the shell. It glows quite nicely, doesn't it? I like that. In a minute you will see a picture of it glowing in the dark. I took some photos of it glowing in the dark. But you'll have to wait until the end of the video for that. Just turn the light off to try and make it glow. You can see it a little bit, but not very much. But you will see at the end of the video it glowing. Right, and that's him done now, I think. Here's the extra bits that I did with the leftover resin, and here he is, my beautiful snail, all finished. So pleased with him, and there he is glowing in the dark. Absolutely love it.